Hi guys, welcome to part 3 of our yoga questions and answers series. This last video was due to a couple of questions that I received regarding book literature. So people were asking me, what are my favorite yoga books? What did you read when you were doing your teacher training? And a bunch of other questions like that. So I have a few books. These are my favorite that I have right here. So let's get right ahead and get started. My favorite book for teachers, so specifically if you're in your teacher training or you're already teaching a book, if I had to recommend one, it would be this one. So this is called Teaching Yoga, Essential Foundations and Techniques by Mark Stevens. It's a pretty big book, but it covers everything from different learning styles to poses and their alignments, pranayama. There's a little bit of anatomy. It'll tell you what the Sanskrit terms for all the poses are, sequencing, how to sequence your classes to create beneficial classes for your students, how to integrate spirituality in your classes. Just really, really great information. I find myself going to this book very regularly whenever I feel like I'm in a little bit of a slump, because that does happen. If you're a teacher, sometimes you get into these slumps where you don't really feel too creative. And this is one of the books that I really, really enjoy. So the next book that I'd like to suggest is called Yoga Anatomy, and it's by Leslie Kaminoff and Amy Matthews. If you're an anatomy geek, this book is for you. It is one of the most beautifully illustrated books that show you what your body looks like when you're in yoga poses. It explains very clearly everything that's happening when you're doing yoga, which muscles are being activated, how your joints and your bones are stacked and aligned. And it's wonderful. Best thing about it is that it's very easy to follow along with and simple to understand. It can be really difficult when you're dealing with anatomy. Sometimes people will use words that just aren't really accessible to everyone unless you've studied that for many years. This one was easy to understand, and I find myself going back to it time and time again. It has a great chapter on breathing, which I read very regularly. So anatomy geeks, this one is for you. Okay, switching it up a little bit. This book was given to me when I did my teacher training. It was part of the books that we received. It's called Living Your Yoga, Finding the Spiritual in Everyday Life, and it's from Judith Lassiter. This book takes more of a spiritual approach towards yoga than the other two books that we've looked at. I'm just looking at the table of contents here. So part 1 is awakening awareness, yoga within yourself. So you look at discipline, judgment, letting go, and then you're also looking at yoga and your relationships. So how does compassion, fear, patience, control come into play? It's a really wonderful book. When I read it the first time, it really resonated with me. I have so many folded pages and highlights that I just read over and over again. You take something new from it every single time that you read it. And it's wonderful to see that the struggles that I face are pretty much the same struggles that a lot of other people face. So you really see yourself in this book, which is why I really loved it. So highly recommend if you're looking for a spiritually inclined book. All right, next book. I ripped the cover off this one, unfortunately, but this is probably maybe my favorite book of all time. It is called, let me just open it. I want to get the title just right. It is called The Science of Yoga by William J. Broad, The Risks and Rewards. This book is awesome. It's a very controversial book. If you look on Amazon, it has a bunch of mixed reviews from it. I'm one of the people who absolutely love this book. So it's controversial because it's taking these yoga myths or yoga sayings that people have been saying for years and years and kind of debunking them or looking a little bit deeper into them. So it's a really great book to read if you're interested about what causes injuries in yoga, what is true about yoga and what is not. It really looks into the history and the origin of yoga as well, which is an amazing story to read. It also looks at how yoga is different around the world. And yeah, then it's basically just looking at different claims that yoga tends to have and seeing if it's scientifically based or not. So saying things like yoga is detoxifying. Well, is it or is it not? So this book has a lot of good answers. It's awesome, it's easy to read, and it's really going to make you think. Because thoughts that you thought were true, you're going to read the book and think, is it actually founded? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So highly recommend that one. My final book is called Meditations from the Mat, Daily Reflections on the Path of Yoga by Rolf Gates and Katrina Kennison. This is a beautiful book. So this book is intended to be followed throughout an entire year. So every day you explore a different theme in this book, and you start off by looking at the yamas, then the niyamas, the asanas, pranayama, and really everything that has to do with yoga philosophy. And it's a very practical book. Sometimes yoga philosophy can be pretty difficult to get your head around. This is an easy, relatable way to incorporate the yamas, niyamas, and other aspects of yoga spirituality in your daily life. They make it simple, easy to understand, and very, very relevant. The experiences that they have are similar to experience I've had, and probably many other people have had as well. So I love it. It starts off with a quote every single day, followed by a little chapter. And it's just a lovely book. So that's it. Those are my favorite yoga books. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If there's any other questions that you would have for me, I encourage you to send me a message. Feel free to leave a comment, like this video, share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.